Aloha. How y'all doing? Well, it's old J.R. Willis again, down here in Mississippi, wallering around. Trying to get woke up as usual. Well, I ain't been up but just a few minutes, so I ain't had time to get a lot on my mind yet. Well, I got that cell phone situation started. In the process of sorting it out, I went ahead and started the return process and went ahead and ordered another phone. So I got like till the 18th, 17th to send that one back. So I'm sitting there. I ain't gonna send it back till I get my new one in. That way I at least got a phone to use. I mean, I still got my old phone, but it's really a piece of crap. That's the reason I put it off until I finally ordered one and just had to at that point. Because the daggone thing, you couldn't charge it. Charger kept. I mean, it went from move it around and it would work to tie it around it to get it to work, and then finally it's to a point where it just don't work really. I mean, you can tie it around it and it may work and it may not. So I'm gonna wait till I get the other one in the mail, which should only take a few days. And now I'll go ahead and send that one back. I gotta wipe everything off of it and make sure I do that right. They sent me an email explaining how to, wipe out the iCloud part and all that. I was thinking about going fishing today, but I've got a lot to do this evening, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to squeeze it in or not. I'd really like to go sometime here real soon down to Pearl River. I've been wanting to try those crappie out. They probably starting to bite. The weather's been cooling off. Usually this time of year, when that happens, they usually start biting. And I also wanted to do a little squirrel hunting this week. Probably should have tried to do it today, but I mean, it's still not too late, but I'd have to get going right away. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to squeeze it in today or not. Well, I had something interesting happen last night, though. We saw some of those UAPs, as they call them. What is that? Unidentified aerial phenomenon. Now, mind you, folks, I'm not one of these, whatever you want to call it, people that are into all this paranormal junk. I'm a skeptic, okay? I don't sit there and say every little thing I see is a daggone ghost or an alien or Bigfoot or any of that crap. I usually say it's a bunch of nonsense. But until recently, I mean, I have seen some of these, what they used to call UFOs, now they call UAPs. I don't know why they call it, changed the name of it, what significance that has. And I have a tendency to think there's some kind of government drones or something that they're flying around, but they're definitely something, and they're not planes. And, I looked it up or Nikki looked it up about planes, they got to have a blinking light, the light has to be like a strobe type effect. Well, these things that you can see, and you can get your butt out there at night and you'll see them. Because it seems like every time I go out and just stay out for a little while and look around, I spot a couple of them. Last night, I don't know how many I seen. And I'm not hallucinating, folks. It's not like I'm on drugs or anything, or I'm schizophrenic or any of that crap, because I'm not. And, I mean, Nikki saw the exact same thing. There's no way I could have just been hallucinating. I got this laser pointer. I could point the thing out, you can point. And I mean, she's seeing it, I'm seeing it. Basically what these things look like is a star. It looks about like a star that's just moving around. And they move around real erratic too. It's not like a plane. Sometimes they do go straight across. But a lot of times they just kind of squirm around up in the sky in real erratic patterns. you can't really tell the distance of this stuff. You know, you can't really tell if it's miles into the sky, or if it could be close. It could be something small like a drone. I keep thinking it's some kind of drones they got flying around that's a lot closer than they look. And I mean, sometimes they look very far away, and sometimes they look fairly close. I don't know what it is, but it basically looks like a light that's moving around, and it's not flashing. It's just a constant, basically looks like a star. It's just kind of moving around. Sometimes they fly straight across, but it's strange. I mean, I got to admit, I don't know what it is. Is it in space? I don't know. Is it in our atmosphere flying around, you know, down here close to the planet? I mean, I don't know how far it is. Like I said, it's dang near impossible to tell. But if any of you guys have seen this before, let me know down there in the comments. Tell me about your experience with it, because it's a bizarre crap, you know. It's something, and it's not planes. You can see planes flying around. Like last night, I probably seen, I don't know, 4 or 5 different planes flying around at various distances with obvious blinking lights and, you know, flying in a straight path and all this stuff. And these things looks totally different. You know, they just look like a solid light that don't blink. And sometimes they fly straight, but a lot of times they move around in real erratic patterns. I don't know what it is. My first guess is not to say, oh, it's aliens from outer space. My first guess is to say it's probably some sort of government drone or some kind of satellites or something. But it's definitely weird. And if you hadn't seen it, just go outside at night a few times. You might not see it the first time, but if you go outside a few times at night, you'll see it, because I hadn't even been looking for the mess. You know, Nikki's the one that brought my attention to it, because she's always looking for that kind of stuff a little more than me. And, man, I've seen them. We've seen the same exact ones. It's not like it's something only one person can see. You know, if you see one, you can get your friends out there. You can make a video of it. I've made videos of it. But the thing about it is, on the video, it's hard to tell much about it, because it's dark at night, obviously. So you're filming it with your camera. There's no point of reference. You know, it's moving. You can film the thing, but it basically, you can't even tell what it's doing on camera, because it looks like you could just be moving your phone around and making it look like that. There's no point of reference. If you were somewhere where you could, and your camera was good enough that it could like show a tree or something. And I've got trees in the yard, but with it dark, my phone don't pick them up. Maybe I can get it to do it some way. But it's going to look, you know how it is when you're looking at something in real life and it looks big, and then you take a picture of it and it's like tiny. That's about the size of it. You know, it won't focus like your eyes will. I'm sure there's a way to do it and get a good film of it, but when I filmed it before, it just looks like a little star. You can't tell much about it. I don't know. I'd like to hear if y'all have had any experience with seeing them things, and what y'all think it is. Do you think it's an alien spacecraft? Do you think it's a government drone? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't. My first reaction is not to say, oh, it's extraterrestrial. But heck, it could be for all I know. I have no idea, you know. I know it's weird, but anyhow, I recommend anybody get outside at night and look at the sky. Do it a couple of different nights if you don't see it right away. And I guarantee you will see these things. It just looks like stars that move around. I mean, and it's not a doggone hallucination. I can tell you that right now. I'm not given to hallucinations. I'm not schizophrenic, bipolar, or any of that stuff. If anything, I'm a little OCD, but not too extreme. Just a little touch. And I don't take any medication for that. I'm not that bad off. And that, like one time they put me on medicine for obsessive compulsive disorder, but, it didn't, I don't think I really need it. It's not that extreme. And at the end of the day, I'm not one of these guys that's wanting to take a pill for everything. If I don't need medicine, I'm not going to take it because, I mean, what are the long term side effects of all this stuff? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, and you could be a doctor watching my channel, and, I'll apologize beforehand if I sound like I'm a smart aleck or whatever. But I don't trust medical science these days. I don't trust any other human being to sit there and tell me what is best for me and my body because at the end of the day, it's not their body. They don't have to live with it. And if they don't make the right decision and they make a mistake and it causes long-term side effects for me, it's no skin off their back. They're just doing their job. They did their best, but they ain't got to live with it if it screws you up. So I try to stay away from it. I steer clear of taking pills for everything. Usually it seems to me like the more pills you take and the more these people that's always going to the doctor all the time seem to be the sickest people that's always got something wrong with them. But I mean, I guess if you're going to the doctor, you got something wrong with you. But I don't know. It just seems like the more you go, the more you have to go. And people that don't hardly ever go to the doctor seem to hardly ever get sick. But maybe it's just, I may just be seeing it backwards. I get that. But anyway, I'm going to try to avoid it as long as I can. When I get older, I'll liable to have to go all the time. My mom has to go fairly regularly, but not as, she's gotten way better than when I first moved down. Like I said, she had a heart attack, had to have an aortic valve replacement. She was having all kind of internal bleeding they couldn't get figured out. And, and that was right in the height of corona. I kept having to rush her to the ER. I was scared she was going to get corona. But, she made it through all that and never did get it, as far as we know. It was a trip, man. She almost died multiple times. She's doing way better now. And she's not taking a whole lot of medicine. She takes a blood pressure pill and a couple of vitamins. And they give her on this thing, put her on this thing for cholesterol. And I'm not 100% sold on that thing. It's some form of statins, and I've heard a lot of different opinions on those things. But I don't know. Anyway, she is doing a lot better, and she's getting around way better than she used to. And me being here helps because, I try to help her stay active and do a lot of stuff. She goes a lot of places with me and Nikki when we go places. I think that helps a lot. I think a lot of elderly people, their family moves off, and they if their spouse dies or whatever, and then they're just sitting there by themselves, not doing anything, just kind of sitting around all day. I mean, how can you not decline whenever you just sit still and don't do anything? I think remaining active is the number one thing to longevity and health. Most of the people I know who are elderly and seem to be in the best condition are the people that get around and do a lot and they stay active. Those people, it's kind of like the old thing, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you just sit around, it's like you'll atrophy, man, and the same with your brain. And it's just like with this cell phone technology, since predictive text came out, my spelling has took a dump. I used to, in school, man, I was always a great speller. I never had any problem spelling. And it ain't like I'm having problems now, but occasionally I'll find myself thinking, now, is that the correct way to spell that word? And forgetting, like with the I and the E before, or whatever. I'll get it mixed up, you know, and I didn't used to do that. And I'm accrediting that to all this predictive text. You know, I don't have to spell anymore. It does it for me. Same deal with the phone numbers, you know. I can't remember phone numbers because I don't have to. The phone does it for me. Well, the more and more reliant I become on technology, you know, the less reliant I am on myself. It's like if you don't use it, you lose it. I wind up, you know, getting to where I can't even do this stuff. I don't want to get like that, so I'll try to rely a little more on my brain. But once you started going in that direction, man, it's hard to go back. You know, and you got predictive text popping up telling you how to spell stuff. Who's going to write it out when the word pops up and you just touch it? Who's going to bother to continue writing it, you know? It is what it is. Advancement of society is sometimes seems to be the decline of society. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens, I suppose. I know it seems to me that we're on the precipice of a whole new era, you know, with the technology, and aren't we always, but particularly in the form of this artificial intelligence, and, you know, it's developing so rapidly, it's kind of scary, to be honest with you. I mean, if I was to be perfectly honest, and I know I'm a bit of a pessimist, but I would say it seems likely that supreme intelligence would probably, if it was going to lean in any direction, that it would probably lean in the direction of eradication when it comes to the human species. I mean, let's face it, what species on the planet Earth is doing the most damage? It's obviously the human species, you know. And what species seems to be the most corrupted? You know, it's like if this is a simulation, we're like a corrupted file or a virus, you know. It seems like the human species constantly is destroying the ecosystem, you know. The other animals aren't really harming the planet. It's us genius humans, you know, think we got everything think we're so evolved, you know. But at the end of the day, we're the ones that got to have it our way. We got to have it now. We got to have what we want when we want it. And have this mentality of to heck with everything else. You know, if I want to pollute and destroy so I can have my creature comforts, so be it. And we'll let the next generation worry about the consequences. I mean, and this greed thing about these uber wealthy people, it's like, how rich do you gotta be, man? Meanwhile, you got people, you know, in third world countries, and, you know, they're living in, they don't even got, it's not even a tent. It's just piled up garbage, you know. It's like living in a garbage dump. Maybe they got an old tarp or whatever crap they can find to make some kind of little lean-to out of. The damn water's in such bad condition, it'll about near kill you just to take a drink of water. They got this AIDS epidemic, you know, where children are born with AIDS, you know, the whole village is infested with the crap. You know, you got all that going on. And then you got people like Elon Musk and whoever, I don't know, rich people, the rich of the rich, you know. You got those guys with so much money that, you know, there's no way they could possibly spend it or that their family could possibly spend it. And, you know, what are they worried about? Going to outer space or some crap. Well, what about the daggum human condition? You know, what do you do? How do you solve it? Well, can you solve it? Who knows? You know, who knows? Sometimes a handout hurts people worse than it helps. But in these conditions in third world countries, man, those people need some help, you know. They can't pull themselves up by their bootstraps in that kind of situation. It's just a hopeless situation, you know. So I can easily see how if AI becomes this, light years beyond human intelligence, because I can see how humans are like more the problem on the planet Earth than anything. I can see it with my dim-witted intelligence. So if this damn computer's gonna come along and start off where we left off and pick up everything that the human race has come up with and then go from there exponentially, I mean, it seems pretty obvious that we could wind up getting eradicated during this whole process. So it's kind of creepy, I don't necessarily think the computer's going to say, oh, let's be friends. It's probably going to say, squash the human race. It wouldn't take much, especially if it's controlling all the electronics. Well, we'll see what happens, I guess. Maybe there is hope. I know I'm a bit of a pessimist anyway, so I'm trying to focus on the positives sometimes a little bit more than I naturally would. So, maybe it will figure out how to help us sort out our problems. That'd be really good. It seems like we could use some help. We've had eons to figure this stuff out, and we're still fighting over the same old crap, Everybody's scared. Scared they ain't going to get what they want or what they need. We got to take it from somebody else to make sure they have it for themselves, And afraid everybody's out to get them and take it away from them. So we do all kind of crazy stuff, The human race is weird, man. But anyway, as usual, I've been babbling long enough. It's about 21 minutes in, so I'm going to get off of this thing. Appreciate y'all watching it. We'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.